the world of cough treatment is lagging terribly behind other parts of medicine. The United States FDA has not approved a new medicine to treat cough since 1958. The world is very different than it was 67 years ago. So cough as a problem has only recently begun to be properly recognized. And until recently, we haven't had the ability to count it or measure it accurately. Well, those things are tied together because companies tend not to build solutions unless they have a way to measure whether the solutions are working, whether that's drugs or digital health or other things. And regulatory agencies tend not to look fondly on interventions, health interventions, treatments, drugs that can't be well measured. So now that Hyfe has cracked the problem of being able to count, being able to monitor cough over hours, days, weeks, months, longitudinally, continuously over time, we can now build that into a digital therapeutic. So those are all background conditions. But the real thing is that there are millions and millions of people who suffer from cough, and particularly from cough hypersensitivity, such that the most effective treatment we have is a behavioral medicine. And the ability to pair that behavioral medicine to put it in a digital format means that a DTX for cough is the right tool for this moment. Hyfe's DTX works by combining three elements. The basis for the DTX is Behavioral Cough Suppression Therapy, BCST, which is a well-proven method, treatment for chronic cough, particularly for refractory and unexplained chronic cough. So the basis is starting with an effective treatment. And then that's the first element. The second element is putting it into an appealing, fun, engaging app format so that when people dive into the content, they don't feel like they're taking bitter medicine. They're in an environment where they're being encouraged to work their way through the therapy in a way that is most likely to succeed. And then the third key element is having a really personalized feedback loop. So that is taking the measurements that we get from app analytics, yes, but also from people's actual cough rates. So we can tell, are they adhering to the treatment? Are they seeing the benefit that they need? Are they using the practice tools that will enable them to suppress their cough when they face the triggers that they face in everyday life? And combining these three factors or features, a really effective basic treatment-based treatment, behavioral cough suppression therapy, an appealing app package, and a feedback loop with cough monitoring built right in. So the thermometer is in the box. That is what sets Hyfe's DTX apart from many DTXs, which rely solely on patient-reported outcomes, on patients saying this is working or this is not working. So that's the answer to why we think it will be as effective as in-person therapy. Yes, much more scalable than BCST. There are only 200 or maybe a few more than that speech-language pathologists who are practicing BCST in the US, and in most countries, many, many fewer than that. And this means that for most people who could benefit from BCST, there's just simply not a speech-language pathologist who offers it nearby. And digitizing it, making it available through app stores, whether that's through prescription or over the counter, means that many, many, many more people will have access to this valuable and, for many people, life-changing, life-improving therapy. To design and build the digital therapeutic for chronic cough, we're working together with Dr. Laurie Slovarp and Dr. Jane Salwa, two leading experts in behavioral cough suppression therapy. And they have given us in effect, the key to unlock the problem of how do you communicate to people that they have the ability to treat their own cough if they learn about their cough, if they learn suppression techniques to deal with their urge to cough, and how to address their triggers when they face the urge to cough in everyday life. And Dr. Slovarp and Dr. Salwa have been instrumental in the design and building of the DTX, and we're so thrilled to have them on our team. So BCST itself has quite strong, rigorous evidence behind it. It's been tested in 15 trials, some very high quality ones. The only one that has measured the percentage decline in cough frequency showed a 41% decrease in cough, which is bigger than any drug that's on the market, except for central acting opioids, which people do not want to take for the rest of their lives. So it's quite effective at reducing cough frequency. In addition, when asked about whether the treatment was effective, upwards of 80% of people who go through BCST say it's been effective at treating their cough. And this, needless to say, is a very high rate of success. There's some very recent research conducted by Dr. Slobarb and Dr. Salwa that shows that BCST works in a distance setting, so over Zoom, in other words. And that has shown an enormous effect on people's perception of their coughs in terms of 3 dimensions. How their cough is affecting them physiologically, so when they report on cough severity, how the cough is affecting them psychologically, their sense of well-being, and how their cough is affecting them socially, how they're interacting with others in public. All these dimensions are super important when we're talking about chronic cough, and BCST has shown extremely good ability to improve people's lives, to reduce cough, and importantly, to reduce people's urge to cough. Our first commercial partnership is with Kyorin Pharmaceutical, a 100-year-old pharmaceutical company in Japan. We've been working with them for a year to bring a fully localized version of the chronic cough digital therapeutic to the Japanese market. We are really lucky to work with Kyorin. They have a very large network of pulmonologists and ENTs that they already have a relationship with, and they are bringing that local market expertise, and we are bringing the ability to build an app for the Japanese market that combines the 3 elements that I talked about earlier. It's part of how we work at Hyfe that we, from the beginning, take into account where this fits in doctor's workflow or in clinical workflow, and so that we're not just adding on a kind of, hey, do this solution at the end, but building it into the product itself. And that necessarily means that it will look a little bit different in different health systems because, yeah, they're not all built the same. In Japan, we're conducting in-depth interviews in clinics with pulmonologists and other doctors who will prescribe the app to learn exactly how patients fit in their workflow and how the DTX will fit into that. So rather than us telling a doctor, hey, add this, it's more like, here's how this will fit into what you already do. And we're designing it into the product. Part of what we've been doing to ensure this is fit for purpose, that it is fully localized to the Japanese consumer, the Japanese market, Japanese healthcare system, is a series of interviews with people with cough, with people in the healthcare system. And one of the things that we've learned is that in Japan, chronic cough is not seen so much as a disease or as a health problem that I have, but as a health problem that is an imposition on others around me. There's a great deal of worry and embarrassment about how my cough is affecting other people. So one of the stories that we heard is a woman who had a job that she liked very much, and she was working in a kind of a bullpen area, and she had a chronic cough, and she had no underlying disease. She had nothing to transmit to anyone, but she eventually left her job because she was so embarrassed to be coughing around her colleagues and so worried that her colleagues saw her as dangerous in some way or someone who might make them sick. And she has a job that is okay for her, but she basically works in a basement all by herself right now. So one of the things that is important to emphasize is that people who have cough hypersensitivity, who have UCC, RCC, who have a long time chronic cough, they're not at risk of dying like many other illnesses, but they are at risk of grave consequences to their health, and in particular to their social and emotional well-being, because they tend to sequester themselves, to pull themselves out of social relationships and of society. And that woman talking to us in Japan about how she had to take refuge or to basically live by herself, as she described it, in a sort of basement cave flat, doing her work from home rather than being in the job she loved with other people, is one of the things that Hyfe feels very strongly we can bring relief to. We can help this person help herself so that she can go back to the bullpen and live amongst other people without the constant fear of what problems her cough will cause. Digital therapeutics sometimes are standalone treatments. And the digital therapeutic we're building for the Japanese market, for example, is just that. There are other digital therapeutics that are designed to work alongside other treatments. One super interesting possibility for a cough DTX is to work together with a drug that's there to treat not UCC or RCC, but there to treat an underlying illness, a chronic illness, such as COPD or asthma. The COPD and the asthma are not going to be treated by BCST, but it is known a lot of people with COPD, a lot of people with asthma have cough hypersensitivity on top of their underlying illness. And the cough hypersensitivity is causing them a great deal of misery, completely separate from the treatment, whether it's successful or struggling for the underlying illness. And we think that pairing digital therapeutic for cough together with a treatment for an underlying chronic respiratory disease could be a powerful tool to increase adherence and to relieve patients from the misery that cough is causing them, even though cough is not the central symptom or the underlying disease that is threatening their health. We see the possibility of partnership with a few different kinds of companies. There are pharma companies that are assembling a kind of stable of digital properties to be leaders in the digital health space. And we would be eager to partner with those companies who have experience at bringing DTXs to the market as part of a larger DTX program. There's also the possibility of partnering with companies in pharma who have a big presence in respiratory health, and they might be eager to pair a digital therapeutic with a drug that they have that treats cough specifically, or a drug that they have that treats another illness where cough is a symptom, but maybe not the underlying cause or not tied to the underlying cause. And yet many people with that illness have cough hypersensitivity. I'm thinking of illnesses like COPD and asthma in particular. And then outside of those kinds of pharma partnerships, there is the kind of retail clinic world with minute clinics or other kinds of clinics within other businesses that do a big volume and need to be able to treat people quickly and readily alongside other traditional pharma. We think digital therapeutics have a big place in that ecosystem. And the fourth fit that we see are with large employers in the US, giving their employees access to tools to treat themselves. And this is to lower the cost, but also to increase access. This would be another way as an offering through their company health plan that the digital therapeutic could find a life in the market. We're nearer rather than farther from the day or date when digital health, digital medicine is just going to become a normal part of healthcare. And because the lead times on regulated products are not so short, the time is now to plan for that date, because we're not talking about 10 or 15 years in the future. We're talking about the near future when digital medicine, digital health, digital therapeutics are just going to be part of the typical set of tools and treatments that doctors have to offer. And so, yeah, there hasn't been a killer app yet, but there's going to be, and likely sooner rather than later.
Thanks for joining us. To learn more about Hyfe's work in digital therapeutics, visit hyfe.com.